right, we're working on factoring trinomials where the lead coefficient is not 1. And this one is fairly complicated because not only is the lead coefficient not 1, it's got 2 variables in it. And it's also got a greatest common factor of 2 in it. So we're going to begin this one by taking out the GCF first. So I just stated a minute ago that GCF is 2. Oh, there's something else, 2b. There's a common b running through all 3 of these terms. So the GCF is 2b. So I'm going to pull this out in front, open up parentheses, and do the division. So 2b divided into 8a squared b. I believe that looks right. So if you need to take the time to actually write that out and divide each one of those, I believe that's what you'll find. All right, so again, the lead coefficient here is not 1. It's a different number. So I'm going to run over here and create a little chart. At the top of the chart, I'm going to put positive 4 times positive 6. And that's going to give me positive 24. And that positive tells me that the 2 signs are going to be alike. So you notice all these little things as you work along. Again, running through all the combinations. That will give me a product of 24. I think I've hit them all. And the next one, 5 doesn't work, and 5 squared is 25, so I know I'm finished because that's higher than 24. So I'm looking at these combinations. I know that the 2 signs have to be alike, and I think the combination I'm interested in here is this 3 and 8. Because if I put the 2 signs so that they are both negative, that will multiply to give me positive 12 and also add to give me this negative 11 back here that I'm looking for right there. All right, so remember how we handle these when the lead coefficient is not 1. I'm going to open up some brackets. Well, I don't need brackets yet. I'll probably confuse you if I do brackets right there. I'll just open up some parentheses, extend the parentheses out, leave some space here in the middle. And again, notice how I'm attaching the letter A to these things from over here in my chart. So negative 3a and negative 8a add back together to produce this. Oops, that's not what I wanted. Add back together to produce this negative 11a. All right, so this is where I need my brackets, because I want to group these 2 in parentheses and separate with a plus, and want to group these 2 in parentheses and close that down with a bracket. So the first pair in the first parentheses, I see a common A. And in the second parentheses, because I have a lead negative here, I want to factor out a negative. And I think the number I want is a 2. So I'm going to pull out a negative 2, which is going to leave a positive 4a and a negative 3. And that's exactly what I was hoping for, because now I see that I have the matching parentheses. Notice how I'm just writing down that 2b every time. So I pull this 4a minus 3 out in front, and what goes in the remaining parentheses is this a minus 2. So once you get to the end, you don't actually have to have these brackets anymore. I just had those in there to keep all the parentheses and brackets from getting mixed up. All right, one more I wanted to show you, because there was one like this in some of the homework, and a student brought this in to me. This is a much more complicated one, because you have in here some parentheses. Instead of a single letter, you've got a binomial expression. The simplest way to handle this is to choose some other letter. I'll just choose the letter A and let it represent, just for a few minutes, this parentheses, x minus 5y. So what you do is you go in and you don't want to do that. You go in and you allow a to replace that parentheses x minus 5y. So now you have something much simpler to work with. And as I look at those three terms, I see a common 4. Sorry, this is hopping all around, folks. I can't quite figure out why. Oh, and now we have a lead coefficient that is equal to 1. So this is one of the easier types. Let's go out here and create a chart with this negative 4 at the top of this little chart and think of all the combinations. 1 and 4, 2 and 2. This negative tells me both signs are going to be different. I shouldn't say it like that. I'll say the two signs are different. I like that better. So I think if I put the negative on the 4 and the positive on the 3, I'll be right. I'll have the negative 4 product and I'll have the negative 3 back here in the middle that I'm looking for. Okay, so the 4 sits out in front, double parentheses, a and a plus 1 minus 4. But the original problem didn't start with an a in it. That was just something I made up. So now at the end here, you need to come back, and everywhere you see the letter a, you're going to go back and plug in with what a was representing. Wow, this is very frustrating to me. I'm sure it is to you. Sorry, I'll see if I can get that fixed before the next video. So there it is. There's the x minus 5y sitting there in place of the 1, in place of the letter A, and then here is the plus 1 and the minus 4, which came from your work up here at the top. All right, so I hope that helps you work with trinomials that have lead coefficients that are not 1, and some of them have lead coefficients that are 1, and some of them have GCF.